The initial Arab attacks were swift and coordinated, aiming to crush the primitive state before it could consolidate its defenses. The Egyptian army advanced from the south, targeting key locations such as Gaza and Beersheba. They aimed to cut off the southern part of Israel and link up with Jordanian forces who were forced on the central front, aiming to capture Jerusalem and the surrounding areas. The Egyptians were well equipped, boasting their tanks, artillery, and aircraft, making their advance particularly threatening. The Jordanian forces quickly took positions in East Jerusalem, including the Old City, and attempted to push into West Jerusalem. As Iraqi troops entered from the east, operating alongside Jordanian forces, they focused on the northern West Bank, targeting key towns and aiming to link up with other Arab forces to encircle Israeli positions. Syrian forces attacked from the northeast, aiming to control the Galilee region. They targeted key positions such as the kibbutzim along the border and attempted to advance towards the strategic town of Safed. Though smaller in numbers, Lebanese forces attacked from the north, aiming to support Syrian operations and create pressure on the northern Israeli defenses. However, the French consulate in Jerusalem proved crucial intelligence on May 12, 1948, a couple of days before the invasion, about the Arab armies' plan to attack the new state, which helped Israel prepare for the invasion. On May 15, 1948, Egyptian forces launched assaults on two Israeli settlements, Negev and Kfar Dorom, using artillery, armored cars, and aircrafts. Despite being lightly armed, the Israeli defenders successfully managed to repel the attacks. Days later, on May 19, at Yad Mordechai, 100 Israeli defenders, armed with rifles, a medium gun, and a Piat anti-tank weapon, held off 2,500 Egyptian troops supported by armor, artillery, and air units for 5 days. This stand led to significant losses for the Egyptian forces, while the Israeli casualties were comparatively minimal. The Egyptians suffered around 300 casualties, while the Israeli defenders had about 26 casualties. The Egyptian advance included two main columns, one moving north along the Gaza Strip and the other advancing towards Beersheba. To secure their advance, the Egyptians besieged several kibbutzim in the Negev, including Kfar Dorom, Negev, Yad Mordechai, and Negva. These sieges delayed the Egyptian forces, allowing the Israeli Givati Brigade time to prepare defenses against the Egyptian advance on Tel Aviv. The Israelis launched Operation Pleshit. Its main goal was to capture the Istud village and stop the Egyptian advance northward. The Israelis had little intelligence about their enemy and were compelled to withdraw. They were unsuccessful in capturing territory and suffered heavy casualties. However, their attack wasn't a complete failure, forcing Egypt to shift its strategy from offensive to defensive, thus stopping their advancement northwards. In response to the Jordanian advance towards Jerusalem, Israeli forces launched Operation Ben Nun to capture the Latun area, a crucial strategic position that controlled the main road to Jerusalem. This road was vital for ensuring the flow of supplies and reinforcements to the besieged Jewish population in the city. Nestled between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, it served as a gateway to the Holy City. Control over Latun meant control over the lifeline to Jerusalem, and the growing need for supplies among Jerusalem's Jewish population weakened the Jewish foothold within the city considerably. Israeli forces, aware of this, launched multiple assaults to siege this key position. However, their initial attempts were successfully fought off and caused heavy casualties among the Israeli troops. With heavy house-to-house fighting occurring between the 19th till 28th of May in Jerusalem, with the Arab Legion eventually succeeding in pushing the Israelis from the Arab neighborhoods in the Jewish quarter of the Old City after a heavy back and forth in territorial gains. Eventually, the Israeli military strategists devised an alternative plan, which was to build another road that avoided the heavily defended Latun area of what has become known as the Burma Road, allowing convoys to transport essential supplies, including food, water, and medical aid to the attacked city. An Iraqi force consisting of 2 infantry and 1 armored brigade crossed the Jordan River from northern Jordan, attacking the Israeli settlements of Gishel. They moved into the strategic triangle bounded by the Arab town Nablus, Jenin, and Talqom. On the 25th of May, they were making their way towards Netanya. On the 29th of May, an Israeli attack against the Iraqis led to 3 days of heavy fighting over Jenin, but the Iraqi forces managed to hold their position. The Haganah was caught by surprise as they were anticipating an attack from southern Lebanon. Samak, a village situated at the southern tip of the Sea of Galilee, held strategic importance due to its location near the vital transportation routes connecting the Jordan Valley with the rest of northern Israel. Securing Samak was essential for both Israeli and Syrian forces to control movement in that region. On the night of May 15th, Syrian forces launched an assault on Samak, deploying tanks, armored vehicles, and infantry. The Syrians, equipped with superior firepower, initially gained the upper hand, pushing the Israeli forces back. However, the Israeli defenders regrouped and launched a counterattack. By the morning of May 16th, the Israelis managed to repel the Syrian assault, inflicting heavy losses on the attackers and securing control over Samak. On May 20th, Syrian forces launched their offensive with primary focus on capturing Degania Aleph and Degania Bet. The Syrian assault commenced with a heavy artillery bombardment, followed by an advance of infantry supported by tanks and armored vehicles. The defenders at Degania Aleph, numbering around 70 kibbutzi members and reinforced by elements of the Golani Brigade, faced this formidable force with limited weaponry, including rifles, machine guns, and a few anti-tank weapons. The following day, May 21st, Syrian forces shifted their focus to Degania Bet, situated about 500 meters from Degania Aleph. Israeli forces used similar tactics to counter the Syrian advance, employing anti-tank weapons like the British-made Piat launchers. In a fierce battle that lasted several hours, the Israeli defenders surprisingly managed to halt the Syrian advance once again. The UN declared a truce on the 29th of May, which came into effect on June 11th and lasted 28 days. An arms embargo was declared with the intention that neither side would make any gains from the truce. However, neither sides respected the truce. Both found ways around the restrictions placed on them. During the truce, the Israelis sought to bolster their forces by massive imports of arms. The IDF was able to acquire weapons from Czechoslovakia, as well as improved training of forces and reorganization of the army during this time. The Israeli army increased its manpower from approximately 35,000 men to almost 65,000 during the truce due to the mobilization and the constant immigration into Israel. It was also able to increase its arms supply to more than 25,000 rifles. During this period, Irgun attempted to bring in private arms aboard a ship called Atalena. Ben-Gurion ordered the confiscation of weapons to stop a coup by the Irgun during the integration of political groups into the IDF. After some miscommunication, the army was ordered by Ben-Gurion to sink the ship. 16 Irgun members and 3 IDF soldiers were killed in the fighting. On July 8th, one day before the expiration of the truce, Egyptian forces under General Mohammed Najib renewed the war by attacking Negev.